Hi, I'm Lana Cooper, and sometimes when I'm alone in my room, I like to pretend that I'm gold dust. And today, we're going to be talking about taking up writing as your new midlife crisis hobby. Let's get into it. So, in a previous episode, we chatted about how taking up a new hobby can help you find some of the fun amidst all of the midlife crisis stuff swirling around in your brain. One of the most low-cost hobbies that you can take up is writing. I'm a big believer that it is never too late to dream a new dream. So if you've ever dreamed of being a writer, and God help you if you have, there's no time like the present to start. In this installment, we're going to break down the actual cost of taking up writing as a hobby, the time investment, and also the emotional investment and what you can expect, and also tempering your expectations without dampening your enthusiasm for something that you really enjoy. So in terms of cost and supplies of taking up writing as a hobby, it's pretty low cost. Your primary investment is going to be in some sort of writing tool or writing software. You can have your pen and paper, or you can have your laptop. If you already have a laptop and a computer, great. If not, that's like another $500 there. Typically, you have to pay for Microsoft Word software now, unless it's already pre-installed on your computer. And then they do these stupid licenses where like once every year you have to renew your Office 365. Dude, I don't need the latest and greatest version of a spreadsheet or word processing software. It's pretty straightforward. What exactly is it going to update? So screw that. However, there are free alternatives for pay word processing software. For instance, if you have just a regular old Gmail account, it already comes with a bunch of applications built in within Google Drive, including Google Docs, which is a free version of Microsoft Word, and you can start writing and storing all of your stuff in the cloud automatically. So beyond just writing stuff for yourself, maybe you want to start putting your writing out there. Maybe you want to take up blogging. There are some sites that allow you to have a free website. WordPress is one of them. You can have a free WordPress site, or you can purchase your own domain name and also integrate WordPress with that. So a blah, 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 yourdomain.wordpress.com domain would be free. But if you wanted yourname.com, which is a little easier for some folks to remember if you're trying to push that out there, then you would likely pay probably anywhere from $99 to sometimes $250 for web hosting. And then there's also Substack, which has become really popular with a lot of writers and bloggers, and that's free. And it's also a great way to connect with other writers. And eventually, if you want to, down the line, you could potentially even monetize your Substack and charge people a small fee for subscriptions. But there actually are a lot of really talented writers over on Substack, some well-known and some who are indie writers trying to get their shot. One helpful thing, Chuck Palahniuk, the guy who wrote Fight Club and tons of other books, he has a really great Substack. He's really good about giving writers of all levels helpful information to get them on their way, and he sometimes offers critiques. You might also want to try and submit stories to news publications or magazines or other websites that are looking for calls for pitches. Or if you're looking to write fiction, there are a ton of other resources out there that can help you find homes for your work. One of them is a for-pay service called Duotrope, which I believe is $5 per month. Once every week on Tuesday, they'll give you a full blast of listings looking for poems or themed collections or books and anthologies looking for people to submit stories. Then there's also a lot of other freebies out there too that are equally as good, if not better, because they're free. Authors Publish is one, and Horror Tree is another, especially if you're a genre writer. If you're new to the writing game and you hear the term genre writer, it's usually code for somebody who writes horror, sci-fi, fantasy, magical realism, stuff like that. Some of the stuff that I write categorizes me as a genre writer. It's a way to distinguish the literary type of writing versus people who like to write about werewolves and vampires and shit like that. And even if you're not actively submitting stories already, It's nice to look at these sites and get some ideas, learn some tricks of the trade. Horror Tree in particular has a great newsletter. They give a lot of writing tips and links to different articles to show you new approaches to creating your stories and building characters and building worlds. So it's a great resource, and it's free, but they're really helpful. But even if you are not looking to actively submit your stories, a lot of these newsletters and websites have great information to help you get started and are also good for giving you prompts and get some ideas if you're stuck and you've hit a wall and you're like, well, I want to write, but I don't know what I want to write about. Welcome to the club. I've been there. I'll leave a bunch of these links in the description below so you can peruse things if this is an avenue you want to take and explore for yourself. But the last thing that you're going to look at in terms of cost investment as a writer is a good hat.
What you doing?
Oh, hey, Sammy. Not much, just working on a blog.
Okay, perfect. So you're not really doing anything. Anyway, I got something cool for you that's going to help you write better.
Write better? What you got?
Hats! Every good writer needs a good hat.
I don't know about this, Sam.
Come on, let's try on some of these.
All right, you insist.
So let's do this one first.
So Hunter S. Thompson in the front and Carl Kolchak in the back. That's a nobody.
This one has cool studs on it.
It's a maybe. Chris Jericho Painmaker, not really giving writer vibes, but all right, I can kind of dig it.
Well then, feast your eyes on this one.
I mean, it's cool and all. I dig it. I don't know if it's a writing hat. I mean, maybe George R.R. Martin Leather Daddy on Jockstrap Night, or maybe if I wanted to start a Faster Pussycat cover band.
Okay, I got one more for you. It's a bit of a long shot, but I think it's versatile, and we can work with this.
Well, I don't hate it at all. It's very extra, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be either kind of Southern Gothic or maybe Goth Mrs. Kintner from Jaws, because remember, Jaws was a book by Peter Benchley before it was actually a movie.
Very true, Sam. But you know, let's forgo the hat idea for now and just focus on the writing, okay?
Okay, but can I play with the hats?
Absolutely.
Good, I want this one. Jockstrap Night, here I come! It's not too much, do you think? Nah, you're the best, Sammy. Aww.
Every good writer has a signature hat. George R.R. Martin, he's got that fisherman's cap. Hunter S. Thompson, you'd see him wearing a bucket hat. Sometimes he'd be wearing a cowboy hat. Oscar Madison from The Odd Couple, fictional writer, sports writer nonetheless, but you never saw him without that banged up baseball hat. Oscar Wilde, on the other hand, didn't wear a hat, but he did have fabulous hair. So the cost of a good hat can be anywhere from free if you're rummaging around in Grandpa's attic and find something cool, or let's put a cap on the cap fund. Don't spend more than $50 on a hat. So let's do a quick rundown of the actual costs that you will incur and rack up as a writer starting out on your journey. So the initial cost could be laptop and a computer. If you don't already have one, you're looking at anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Software, which could be anything from free with Google Workspace Basics already embedded within your Gmail account, to maybe $250 if you purchase Microsoft Office Suite outright, or maybe $99 per year if you decide to go for a subscription. For a website, that could be free, anywhere from, say, a Wix site, WordPress, Substacks, or if you decide to purchase your own domain, that could be anywhere from $99 to upwards of $250 annually, depending on how big of a space that you need on that site. And your final cost would be your hat, which could be anywhere from free to $50. The next thing we're going to cover is the time investment that you can expect to commit to your new hobby as a writer during your midlife crisis. Start writing for 15 minutes a day, then gradually build up to maybe 30 to 60 minutes per day. Again, it's about trying to find those pockets of time for yourself so you're not going stir crazy and everything just doesn't feel like an endless string of responsibilities and no fun. Now, it can sometimes be difficult to sit down and come to the page. Like, oh, I only write when the muse calls me. Yeah, that's fucking cute. Tell that to anybody who has a deadline, or if you're one of the lucky folks out there who's actually had an advance and is writing stuff professionally, you don't exactly have the luxury of going, oh, I don't feel like it. Then again, talk to George R.R. Martin, who's spent 10 years writing 30 pages. So yay, the books are a secondary thing for him. Right now, his main revenue is probably television and licensing. So good for you, buddy. See, that's what the power of a good hat can do. But the thing is, you want to sit down and take a little time every day, whether that is 15 minutes to 30 minutes to 60 minutes. If you're really feeling spunky, go for it. Sit down for 2 hours, block out the whole day, bang out something. Some days you'll feel that way. Some days you will just sit down and go, what the hell am I going to write? Just write something. Put it down on the page. It could be something as simple as writing down the thoughts of your day, just journaling it out, or it could be jotting down ideas for a story, starting to outline it, bits of dialogue that you want to incorporate. Maybe you want to do a poem a day, who knows? If you're consistent and you make time for writing every day, you are going to see an improvement. One of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was by one of my best friends, Janae. Hi, Janae. How do you eat the elephant? Bite by bite. You do it in just small steps. Right now, we're in the midst of November, National Novel Writing Month, and a lot of times you'll see NaNoWriMo as the abbreviated form. Honestly, I've never been a fan of NaNoWriMo. The premise is to have people sit down and write a book entirely throughout the month of November and sprinting to the finish line to bang out 50,000 words of a short novel by the end of the month. In theory, I like the idea of being disciplined and allotting time per day to create something complete, but I think the expectation of writing 50,000 words in a month isn't always realistic for a lot of people. I think it can be very discouraging to folks too, and it sucks the joy out of the art and science of writing, especially if you're starting out and this is your first go at writing. I would hate to see somebody feel intense pressure that, oh, I flopped out because I didn't complete it. It's kind of like if you're new and you're starting out as a writer, National Novel Writing Month is your first day on the porn set, and instead of having a nice slow and sloppy love scene to ease you in, they just ram you right into a triple DP gangbang on your first day, and that's not going to go well. So as with any scenario, I urge you to be gentle with yourself. Keep it fun. Keep it fun. Just have some fun with it. Get weird with it, which is my guiding mantra. So the third thing that we're going to talk about is the emotional investment involved. Writing in itself can be a very solitary pursuit, but you have to think about who you're writing for. Are you writing for yourself? Are you writing the story that you wish you could read? Awesome. And in all likelihood, there are other folks out there who want to read the same thing too. Your work is just waiting for a home and waiting for an audience. Or if you're shopping around for a home for your work or publications, they'll tell you what they're looking for. Like, we like splatterpunk, or we hate more traditional vampire or werewolf stories, or we're looking for highfalutin fancy literature. Writing is subjective. There is some great work out there that doesn't necessarily get the forum that it deserves. And unfortunately, like any other industry, writing is subject to trends and what publishers and editors are looking for. Sometimes your work is a good fit, sometimes it isn't. And sometimes you may submit something and it doesn't necessarily ladder up to a trend that is currently being peddled within an industry. What one editor might enjoy, another one might not. And honestly, what people are looking for can change from season to season, from year to year. So hang in, don't quit, continue to write the stories you would want to read, and your audience will come, and your time will come. Look, I'm a big fan of hair metal, and grunge came in and wiped that off the map for logical reasons, And then eventually hair metal circled back again, and you see this wave of nostalgia trends. So it all does eventually circle back. Some of the best writers out there have gotten mountains of rejections. That is the nature of the beast. If you are going to be putting yourself out there, yeah, you have to expect some level of rejection. You do have to develop a thick skin, and you have to develop confidence in your work, and that comes over time. Don't think that your work sucks just because you've gotten a rejection or two on a specific piece. And that is another component of developing a thicker skin and starting to develop an audience and a platform for your work. Writing typically has been the province of introverts, but today there's almost a persona requirement for your writing. People want to know who you are before they want to read your work. Personally, I don't agree with that. I want the work to stand alone. If I find out about a writer's experience and how that impacted their work, all the better. But I just want to read a good story. And I think most of us do. But in terms of marketing, which unfortunately is a big thing, editors and publishing houses, they got to eat too. And part of that is by having authors market their own work. They want to know what sort of platform you already have. Do you have a blog presence? How many subscribers do you have? Do you have a YouTube channel? Instead of just writing, you're tasked also with marketing your own work and putting yourself out there as a public persona to people. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the game now. Why do you think my ass is on YouTube? Look, I'm a writer by trade. By day, I'm a marketing copywriter, but in my own time, to keep my own sanity, I've been a writer of fiction and nonfiction for many, many, many years, more than I care to count. I'm not exactly a rousing success, but here I am on YouTube trying to drum up viewers and readers. So I am having a good time with it though. So that at the end of the day, that's a win. But if it is something that you're serious about and do want to put your work out there, there is that marketing element to consider. But I also advocate for not entirely selling your soul. There's a way that you can do it that's unobtrusive. You can develop an Instagram or Facebook or X. Start developing your brand over there, and where people can start to get to know you as an author. Build that bond, and you build that audience based on trust and not putting out some phony bullshit sanitized image out there. Talk about your work. Talk about the struggle of writing. I think there's so much artifice, and we only see the shiny, pretty successes. We don't see the hard work of, yeah, this shit got rejected. It happens to all of us, and I think we need to normalize some of those more humbling experiences, whether that's being on YouTube or TikTok. Personally, I refuse to go on TikTok. I would rather shit in my hands and clap than stand there going, read my book. I'm pointing at words on the screen. Read my book. Fuck that shit. And oh my God, I hate TikTok with a fiery vengeance. And that is my boundary. That is where I draw the line. I will not point at words on the screen or do a little dance to get people to read my work. I have some scruples. Not many, but some. You also need to set those healthy boundaries. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? And maybe for you, it's just as good to have a very small audience for your blog, even if it's just your friends and family reading it, or you write a story and you put it away in a drawer and you do it for you. Or if you do want to put it out there to editors and agents, keep at it. But just be patient, hang in, and don't quit. Some of the work that might get rejected today, maybe next year or 2 years down the line, that story might ladder up to a trend and you can resubmit it. There's no law saying you cannot resubmit a story. And that's the thing. 2-3 years down the line may seem like a long time. The recurring theme of a midlife crisis is that race against time. But I assure you, there are many writers who came to the game much later in life. I'm looking at my notes here because I don't remember all this shit off the top of my head. I'll just read it off to you. So Mark Twain was 41 when he published his first book, Innocents Abroad. Bram Stoker, the guy who wrote Dracula, he was 50 when he published that novel. Toni Morrison was close to 40 when she saw The Bluest Eye finally published. Laura Ingalls Wilder, I don't have an age for her, but she was an old lady when she was putting out the Little House on the Prairie series. J.R.R. Tolkien, he was 45 when he wrote The Hobbit. And Charles Bukowski, oh my God, another one of my absolute favorites. I love how grizzled and real and nuts he was. He was 51 when he wrote his book Post Office, not to mention all the other poems that he had received countless rejection letters on. So there are a lot of folks that you will find yourself in good company with who came to writing later in life. And that's the great thing about writing. You don't have to be young, you don't have to be thin, you don't have to be pretty. You just have to put the benefit of your experience onto the page and make it touch the lives of others. You have to make those words bring out something real and bring out something emotional in somebody else. And that is the benefit of the wisdom that comes with age. Well, not all of us are wise as we get older. We'll just say the benefits of age and experience, not necessarily wisdom. I'm rambling. As I said before, I'm a big believer that it is never too late to dream a new dream. So if you are dreaming of writing, sit the hell down, start doing it, and have some fun with it. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. I will leave some links to some of the resources that I mentioned in the description of this video below. And if you enjoyed this, please share it with somebody. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. And thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.